Hello friends, and welcome to a video that is slightly lower key, but higher chaos. For a couple of months ago, I suddenly found myself in possession of a dress form. When I first started my sewing journey, I was sewing in my bedroom and was already being extremely creative with my fabric and project storage. I most definitely did not have room for a dress form. And even after we moved and I got a dedicated place to sew, a dress form somehow wasn't on the priority purchase list. And then this past December, my boss at my day job found the top half of a dress form, and knowing that I sew and love to DIY, went, "Merry Christmas." And the rest shall be history. It needs a little bit of adjusting in order to be me-shaped, so join me on a journey that is perhaps more chaotic than it needed to be. So first up, she needs a stand. I was originally hoping to find something on wheels, but after quite a bit of fruitless searching, I instead went with a sturdy hairdresser's wig tripod. I popped off the top piece since all I needed was the base and the pole. Okay, so let me explain the logic behind the next steps. The dress form came with a crossbar and a central pole, but I knew the chances of finding something that would fit the pole exactly were pretty slim. So when I found the tripod, I took both the tripod pole and the dress form pole to Home Depot and brainstormed with an employee to figure out a way to MacGyver them together. We settled on a piece of PVC as the base, which needed to be slightly widened to fit the tripod. I started with a hairdryer and very quickly realized that that would take forever. So I leveled up and used a heat gun instead. Because of the way I was attaching things, the dress form pole had to be swapped around. Then I put a nut inside the PVC, which will hold the dress form pole joint. To make the join, I'm using a brass piece, and in order to get this piece to fit, it needed to be filed down a bit. I naively thought I could do this with just a bit of sandpaper. This did not work anywhere near as well as I hoped, so it was time to head outside, pop some safety gear on, and break out the Dremel. This still took quite a bit of time, but eventually we had success. The crossbar can get screwed back into the dress form, and the dress form can get joined to the tripod. So I don't know exactly how well it comes across in that last shot, but when I got the dress form and the tripod joined, I very quickly realized that we had a height problem. See, I am 5 foot nothing, 5'2" with heels on, and the dress form was sitting at roughly 5'5", possibly even a little taller. There was no way that that height difference wouldn't be an issue down the road. Any dress or skirt that I worked on would have proportion and hemming issues. So I went back to the drawing board and eventually realized that if I just took off the adjustable pole and adjuster clamp, that would buy me the roughly 3 or 4 inches that I needed to make it workable. I didn't mind if the finished form was 5'2", since I wear most of my costumes and outfits with 1.5 to 2 inch heels anyway. But this would involve a little bit of creative work, as there was a size difference between the diameter of the adjusty pole on the tripod and the diameter of the base pole on the tripod. Yeah, I did not film any of that because I was crashing out at that point. I thought that this would be a super duper quick and easy DIY and did not expect it to take this long. But at long last, the dress form is on a base and I am quite happy with the height. Now it's time to get personal, because me and my body double had different measurements. I'm using the book Draping for Fashion Design as my guide for the necessary measurements, starting first with the dress form. And then I do the same on my own body. From there, we do a bit of math to figure out how much each measurement needs to be padded out by. And I use leftover quilt batting to build up to where things need to be. After I was happy with the measurements, I draped the dress form with some plain fabric to make a cover. I marked the seam lines and stitched along, and made a drawstring at the bottom using a zigzag stitch to secure the raw edges. The cover then gets wrangled onto the form, and since I was using a straight weave instead of a knit fabric, I did have to seam rip one side to get the whole thing on, and close it up again with a ladder stitch. For the tippy top of the seam, I ended up switching to a curved quilting needle, which, while fiddly to handle, worked perfectly for this spot. And here we are, a finished dress form. My understudy. Is she perfect? By no means. There are a couple little wonky spots here and there, and if you happen to see the back of her in future videos, we're just not going to talk about the slightly Frankenstein-y stitching I had to do to get this particular seam done up. Although, I do have a scar on the exact same side, in roughly the same position. Okay, change of plans. We're going to call it, I meant to do that, because we're twinsies. But all in all, I am delighted with how she turned out. I initially thought it would be somewhat humbling to have a copy of my body sitting permanently in my sewing room. And I know a lot of sewists feel that way too. This is really the only time and way that we can see what our body shape really looks like from an outside perspective. And I did not know how I would feel about that. But she's actually pretty heckin' cute. I like her. And now, I feel like she needs a name. I have a couple of ideas floating around, but nothing has really fit so far. So I put it to you, the viewers. What should we call my body double here? I'm thinking either something Victorian or Hobbity, but let me know what you think. I look forward to your suggestions. And I am really looking forward to making projects with her. My first thought back in December was Elphaba is going to be so much easier now. And actually a bunch of projects this year and hopefully many years to come. So I hope you enjoyed this chaotic crafting adventure. If you did, I encourage you to hit the like button. And if you want to see sewing projects with said dress form, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on notifications. If you'd like to support future sewing endeavors, I do have a page on Ko-fi, and we will see you soon for some geekery meets history sewing adventures. Let's try again. Do we have audio now? Can we get through a recording? Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. We've brought back the old mic. How are we sounding? Are we sounding happy? Because I'm a little stressed right now. Okay. New mic died, back to the old mic. How are we looking? And, and, and we will see you soon. And as, move over.